It's super important that we keep that front and center, that you are talking to an individual. That individual has questions, concerns. So, we still in the marketing meetings talk about top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, but we'll often bring to life the people and where they are in their journey and actually remind ourselves this is someone who is an executive at a company and they're so busy with their day job, and then they have a family. So they're really busy with their other day job. And, but they've got wealth that they want to be good stewards with. How do we help them? What are the questions? What keeps them up at night?
You're listening to the Revenue-Driven CMO, the podcast where we break down the most effective growth strategies from top marketing leaders. Join us every week as we dive into their stories, challenges, and insights that drive revenue. This show is brought to you by Level Agency, where AI-enabled performance marketing expertise blends the art and science of marketing to deliver measurable results.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Revenue-Driven CMO. I'm your host, Chris Mechanic, here with a really exciting guest today. Our guest today originally is from the investment banking world, came up through investment banking, and then moved into business development and sort of is a marketer now by trade. But what makes her unique is that she works in a really client-centric, fiduciary-focused firm, which means that as much as she's a marketer, she's also a listener, she's an educator, she's an advocator, really first and foremost. I mean, that's what fiduciary means. It's like you literally have to put the client's best interest in front of your own. So a lot of times as marketers, we like to say, get close to the customer and think in terms of being empathetic toward the customer. She literally has a fiduciary responsibility to do just that. And she empowers both current and prospective clients by helping them navigate the often murky waters of the financial services industry and make really big and well-informed decisions about their financial lives. So really excited to have her on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Miss Cammie Doder, CMO at Aspiriant.
Thanks, Chris. It's really great to be here.
I'm super excited to get into it with you. One thing that I noticed that I didn't include in the intro, and maybe I should have, was that you have an incredible tenure there. So like you've been there literally
long time.
Yeah, 20 years and just like steady, getting promoted every few years and made your way up to the chief marketing officer position, which I'm really excited to hear more about. But before we get there, we like to just dive straight into the value. Like, why don't you share with everybody what is one of your biggest and best kept secrets to marketing success?
Thanks for asking. I love this question. You kind of led into this, and as marketers, we have to be reminded that it's really humans at the end that are consuming our products. So really thinking about one person at a time and really understanding who are you talking to and what is their situation? What do they care about? And really being mindful about focusing on that human. And for us, so Aspiriant at the firm I'm a partner at and CMO at, we are a high net worth wealth management firm. We help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. And they're humans and they are fearful and they are excited and they're emotional. So really for us, we want to connect to our future clients, to our existing clients in a way that's really human. So we think about that from how we design the website. We're intentionally lots of white space, we're really intentionally talking in a way that's not institutional. And then I would say along the lines of your question, another aspect of this is, for me, it's bringing to life the people that serve the clients. So a lot of our marketing goes into, it's not just about the brand Aspiriant. That's really critical. We're in a huge trust business, dealing with people's livelihood, their finances, their hopes and dreams, but we're also a people business. So the more we do to bring to life the people that serve our clients and really just the firm in general, that's really been an important part of our secret sauce.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I'm on the site now. It's It's totally human. It's got these really cool custom illustrations that, it's clear that it's not stock photography. Even the imagery of the people, it's clear that it's not stock photography. It's clever. It's playful. I like it. Do you get pushback ever? Because, in the wealth management space, I think I and probably many CMOs agree that, hey, it's humans at the end of the day on the other side of the line. But wealth management is one of those categories, which is almost like legal, almost like your CPAs, where like a lot of the brands feel that they need to be buttoned up. So I'm curious, like at Aspiriant, have you guys always been this sort of human forward and this sort of like personal style to the brand, or is that something that evolved over time?
You're very astute. You are right. So the financial services, the CPAs, legal, any of the service business to this space, do often feel they have to be really serious and really smart and talk in a way that might even be off-putting. And as we were doing discovery around our brand and talking with our clients and COIs, we really delved into what makes us special and, that humanness and the people, and that's the differentiator. So we leaned into bringing that to life on our website. And I remember going through the process of looking at different homepages of financial services firms. And this was now a long while ago, but you almost could not pick out Aspiriant because we were doing the same thing. We were the sailing boat and the rocks that made you feel real comfortable, that, a Zen type feel and whatever else. And so we really said, that's not who we are. We're not just one of everyone else. We're very special. We're unique. We're Aspiriant. How do we bring that to life in a way that really resonates? And it was uncomfortable. And I remember when we first showed it to our team, a little gasped in the room, but we sort of reminded ourselves, we want to stand out in an appropriate way. We're not trying to just stand out for no reason. We want to be who we are. And then so there was a level of feeling discomfort, uncomfortable. And then I'll share just one word on our website. We talk about that clients feel loved. And I promise you, there was a lot of conversation at Aspiriant about that, just that one word. Can we talk about that on our website? But when it came down to it, like client surveys, what they tell us individually and collectively, it's like they feel loved. We love serving our clients. So, Chris, we just went for it and it felt so right. Once we had launched this brand, this website, as we evolved over time, it felt so right. And it's really helped us be our North Star. We are in a client intimacy type relationship. And our brand is about client intimacy. There you have it.
And I bet it's helpful actually, like once, a prospect visits the site and they enter into a dialogue with you and, the advisors and the team are probably saying this verbally, like, hey, we really care about our clients. We are taking we take a really humanized and personalized touch to things. Which a lot of wealth managers may very well say, but I bet that it's helpful that when they visit the website, it's like very much aligned and congruent with that message. So it's not just like, hey, this is lip service that everybody's saying. It really makes it feel real. But I'm curious, like, once you guys launched this new site and did that brand work, like what happened after that? Like, did you notice any distinct changes like from a business or pipeline or revenue perspective?
Yeah, and it's one of those, it builds upon itself. So it wasn't like the launch and everyone, prospective clients were like, oh, what a fresh new vision and whatnot. It builds. So as we launched, what was surprising and wonderful was just the feedback when prospective clients would get on our website and go through, we call it UX, right? They're going through their discovery process and they would give us the feedback that how fresh it was, how they just understood the brand as a result, and they still do this day, which is really such a nice, it's a compliment, right? As a marketer, and we like compliments. It just really feels good that they get it. And they also, through then the interactions they have with the people or the experiences, they listen to our Money Tales podcast, the consistency of what we have now put out as a brand represented in the content we write and the audio, the video work we do, and then importantly, the client service we do. That's where it all shows. It's just not, it's not a window dressing.
Yeah. And you want to know, well, there's a couple of other things that strike me, and you don't see this very often, but on the homepage, Aspiriant.com, for folks that are audio only, you've got the main hero area, which again, feels very human and playful. You've got like a little bit of credibility with, featured in Forbes and Bloomberg and things, but then pretty much right up front and center is the core values. And you like almost never see that, in a CPA or a wealth management firm where like you're leading with the values. The values are unique. One of them is literally loved, right? And there's a picture of a woman like hugging this oversized kind of cartoonish dog right in the center of these. It's like you really leaned into that love. But I really like the values. You've got loved, you've got farsighted, you've got brainy, powerful, and richer. Which is all, I guess richer probably.
That's what clients want to feel, right? Like richer in for us, we think of richer as just that connection to their values, that their money is really achieving what their goals are. That's the richness of life. And so it's a playful word, and it can be provocative.
Right. But it really makes it clear that Aspiriant is a firm, the core values aren't just a picture on the wall that people walk past and never really talk about it. It really makes it feel like, hey, this is really core and central to the group. And you guys are 100% employee owned. I mean, that probably lends itself, I think, toward trust and trustworthiness. It's like, so it works. I mean, it really.
We think it's so interesting that you zeroed in on the independence, because it's such an important part of our story. We work with a lot of clients who are business owners, and maybe they started family business owners or executives in public companies, entrepreneurs, and they understand when you are really focused on one thing, you are owning one business, you're not being pushed to promote a certain product or anything. We are in one business, really focused. So how we think about it is alignment of interest. We want to be as aligned as possible with both our talent, our owners, our clients, our future clients. Like that puzzle is really important. And we think being independent is a really important part of that story, that we're owner operated. We really care. We're here for the long run.
100%. Yeah. There's nothing like that owner operated feel, regardless of the business, right? Whether wealth management or a CPA or a restaurant or
restaurant. I was just thinking about the restaurant, and you connect. You're working with the owner and they're leaning in. They want to know what you think about that food really deeply. They want to know about your experience. Same with the restaurant of Aspiriant, which is our food is wealth management.
And the axiom, like, hey, this is business, it's not personal. It's almost like, hey, this is personal. Like, I do take this personally. This is my life's work over here, right? Like, how is it not personal? That's awesome. That's really cool. So, so going back to your secret, to summarize it, it was essentially like, hey, we're speaking with humans. We want to speak in a way almost as if we would speak if it's one-to-one, and we want to show that humanity. And that bit of personality. I'm curious, like, so it's clear how that translates in terms of the website, but how does it translate in terms of other mediums? Like in terms of emails that you write, the posts on social media, like how does that, affect, say, like the training, for instance, for new hires on the marketing team, or like, how do you kind of perpetuate that? throughout the different messaging mediums?
Yeah, so it's super important that we keep that front and center, that you are talking to an individual. That individual has questions, concerns. So, we still in the marketing meetings talk about top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, but we'll often bring to life the people and where they are in their journey and actually remind ourselves this is someone who is an executive at a company and they're so busy with their day job, and then they have a family. So they're really busy with their other day job, and, but they've got wealth that they want to be good stewards with. How do we help them? What are the questions? What keeps them up at night? And really for me and with my team and really at the firm is naming that person. Like we will literally put names to either, we'll talk about our future clients. We want to know who they are, what's going on in their life. We talk about how we serve existing clients and bring to life through humanness, not just data on some chart, right? We want to know what's going on in their lives and really have a deep understanding. So it's just bring them to life through the stories so that when my communications manager comes in and she's writing content or preparing an email, she's really always thinking about how is this landing on someone? We know it's, they're busy, they're picking up their phone, they're not sitting down like we are studying and, allocating that hour. How are they consuming that content? Because they're going through life with our content, with our marketing and communications. How can we help support them? I even think about the brevity of our content and trying to be mindful. If we can't be short, then let's at least get that executive summary in a way that's really gets to the essence of it. And that's hard to do, Chris. What's the saying? If I had more time, I'd written less. I mean, it's hard. So we want to do that wherever we can, being mindful of where that this is my life is, my work is to come in every day to work within Aspiriant, but their job is so much more so in different ways. They're interacting with us. How do we make it simple, actionable, helpful, all that?
And this isn't so much marketing related, but I can't help but to think, with the business that you're in, like investing, wealth management, and with the market turbulence as of late, is there any amount of this sort of marketing messaging that also trickles down to when your clients, I'm sure many of them are nervous, right? As they see these wild swings happening in the market. Does any of this matriculate down to the messaging that the partners are actually using and talking with their clients individually?
Yeah, I think I would say it's the reverse. So we got to our brand because that is who the business is, really thoughtful, getting at the heart, understanding that, we're saying times like these, markets are volatile. Yes, this is a really volatile time, but we've gone through this. I have been here 20 years. We've gone through a lot of volatility and just really interesting geopolitical times, you get it. So how we landed on our brand and messaging is not because, oh, wow, that's aspirational. It's who we are. So I'd say that that's already was a really big part of the brand, which is talking in a way as best you can. That's no acronyms, not, we'll call it institutional speak, really getting down to how our clients talk about their investments and their portfolios and really doing the best it can to mirror that. So we're not, we don't want, clients to say, oh, we trust them. I don't really know what they do, but they're smart. No, we want them to think we're smart, all that good stuff, but we want them to walk away feeling confident because, wow, they understand it. And so I think that's when they're going to, we still need to be really effective communicators during times like these, help them through it, help them understand what we're doing and on their behalf, to give them, we talk about one of our core values is, giving our clients peace of mind. And within that, context and clarity. So context, what is the context of a volatile market right now? Clarity, how it impacts them and their family in the near term with their near-term goals and really in the long term.
That's the best answer ever. It's like, no, we don't adjust our marketing message for our clients. It's like the opposite. It's the other way around. That's great. Random tangent. So I believe yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of when COVID officially like became like an official pandemic and everybody like basically stopped working. I'm an investor myself. I fancy myself like a pretty good stock picker. So I'm like pretty active, in the markets. And the VIX, like the volatility index has been elevated. It's like in the, 25 to 30s. It's typically like in the, 10 to 15s. But I looked at the 5-year on the VIX recently yesterday when it dawned on me that it was the 5-year anniversary of COVID, and it was at like 65. So like 5 years ago yesterday, the VIX was literally at like 65, 70, which means extreme fear in the market. So what we're seeing today basically doesn't hold even a candle at that.
It's so important, Chris. It's hard to pull back. It's hard to think. It always feels it's just different this time. And that I've heard that so much, but it's just different this time. And to remind, ourselves, our clients, yes, that's true, but so was it back then. And you're hitting on a really important point. So, and we're going off tangent for marketing, but I think it's important because these are important messages. There's the near term and then there's the long term. And for us and with clients, if there's near term needs for cash, you have to think about, some of the volatility. And then there's your long term goals. And, perhaps today's volatility really isn't something you need to worry about. But talk to your financial advisor about this. I'm not giving advice.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, I'm so curious about the rest of your marketing programs. Like, I'm curious, just like what's working really well, what are challenges, what you guys are thinking about for next year or for the rest of this year and next year. But what would you say is really driving your revenue engine, like from a marketing perspective?
We have been building out a full funnel strategy, and in years past, we've been really more focused on bottom of the funnel and various other initiatives. And we're really in the last, number of years, but last year and then this year, investing deeply into a full funnel strategy, thinking about those individuals, right? So you've got individuals who are in that pipeline, who are in similar, stages of life that we're targeting, whether it's executives going through IPOs, M&A, private equity, liquidity type events of the funnel. And that's been really important. And where we're going with that is just a deeper, this won't surprise you when I talk to you about at the beginning, like we really focus on bringing to life our people and connecting who they are and their expertise, and bringing that to life. So we're really spending a lot more time in creating content that helps educate as well as bring to life our people. And that's been fun. And we're doing a lot more. We're being playful, short videos and webinars and really building out our whole overall content strategy.
That's great. That's great. And involving the people is I think a really good play, a really smart play. I'm curious, like, so does the firm is mostly, I guess, partners who are kind of wealth managers, or are there, like, is that the majority of the people there?
So yeah, it's wealth managers, and then, I'll use the term shared services. So in support of serving those clients and in serving the brand, so I'm not, as a CMO, I'm not serving clients. So we're about a third of our professionals are owner operators. We're about 240 individuals who are at Aspiriant working, the team members. So a third of us are owner operators. And then of that third, I don't even know the breakdown. A lot of those are client-facing wealth managers. And then in addition, those of us who help make the business run, like the marketers, the CEO and whatnot. And that's kind of the construct of the organization.
Have you found it to be easy to get some of the wealth managers and owner operators to like participate in marketing, or do you find it to be kind of challenging and you have to chase after them or try to convince them as to why it's important?
Yes, and in years past, I would say it was harder. And right, they're busy, they're focused on clients as they should be, but marketers, you're not only marketing externally, you're marketing internally. So we've spent as a team a lot of time really marketing and I would say educating our internal folks on what we're doing, how it works, how their participation. We can't do it alone. Marketing can't just kind of, hey, marketing, just go off over there and do your work. This has to be a partnership. And here's why. And this is what we're going to do on behalf of you and us. And so it's been really an education and process, and then the results, right? So we did this and here's the result. Here's the pipeline. Here's the new clients that we get to serve. And through that, we have really been able to help turn, that's why I said it's yes and. There was a period for sure where I felt like I was negotiating internally, hey, we really need these people. And we're at a point where we've it's been a long time. We have built out this education internally that folks get it and are there's a lot of people who are just leaning in and raising their hand and excited. And that's really fun for us because we're finally at that point where we feel the partnership is super strong internally, like, oh my gosh, let's just make it happen.
Well, that's really amazing. It sounds like it has sort of permeated and perpetuated like the team-based approach to marketing. I'm curious about paid channels. Like, is most of what you're doing organic, like from a content perspective and SEO and organic social, or have you found any like winning and reliable paid outlets?
I don't know about reliable. And I think that's the business we're in as marketers. You constantly, as I've told internally, they want my executive team, I'm a member of our board. Everybody wants the recipe, right? What's the recipe for success? And as I share, I say, we'll get that recipe and then the recipe changes, right? And it's just always going to be that way. We do paid, primarily Google and LinkedIn, but we tried different platforms beyond that. And the way I think about it is we should always be testing. We always should be testing different areas and seeing what works. And we've tried newsletters, we've tried a whole host of different tests along the way. And again, I don't want to say if I test a newsletter strategy and it didn't work, I don't want to assume next year it won't work. I think we always have to be in that iterating and testing and refining mode. LinkedIn is it's expensive, but it's an expensive platform, but it's really a powerful platform when we're targeting executives. It makes a ton of sense. We deal with a lot of our clients or future clients are pre-IPO. I mentioned this before, but pre-IPO, pre-M&A. So if you're getting out really good content that's helping them in their journey, you're targeting, you're speaking to them in their situation, it's a powerful tool.
100%. One of my favorite things to do with LinkedIn, because it is very expensive, but the targeting is amazing. Like there's nowhere else that you can get that level of granularity. So I think of that first click, it might cost you 10, 20, 30, 50 bucks sometimes. I've seen clicks on like really targeted campaigns upwards of $100. But by default, we don't expect anybody to convert on that click. Instead, what we're doing is basically cultivating them for a retargeting audience. So we'll use like really expensive premium LinkedIn traffic to populate these retargeting lists, which depending on the space might turn into like a, customer lookalike or similar to type of audience that you can then reactivate on a platform such as YouTube or Meta or somewhere else where the CPMs are way, way cheaper. And it's funny because you don't see a lot of people doing that. Like usually when I look at where folks are going, like where the traffic is landing from a LinkedIn campaign. It's usually like a landing page where the goal is to capture an email address or to convert otherwise. But if you shift that and think like, hey, I'm paying $50 for the ability to basically get back in front of this person over a long-term basis, then it starts to make sense. I'm a huge remarketing nerd, especially because I imagine your sales cycle is probably pretty long, I would imagine. And so
it can be long. Yeah, it can be long for sure. It just depends. Some it's really fast. From a targeting standpoint, that's ideal when you can really get people when they're at that life event, whatever it might be. It's really an interesting, there's some clusters, like a liquidity event, life liquidity event, a realization that I'm not going to live forever type event, harder to target, but your content can speak to that. But I love that you're getting at the remarketing where we've done some, we have not spent that much in that area, some last year and found some success. This year, we actually do want to pour into that. And I love that it sounds like you've had some great success in it.
And the other secret to remarketing is to solve, because most folks just by default will do the 30-day window. Like when you go to set it up, that's the default. But on different platforms, you can create different lengths. I think it's on Google, it's like 280 days and on Meta, I think it's 180. But basically I like to have, that 0 to 30 day, and you'll have like a mix of different ads there, but then you can have a 30 to 60 day aged cohort. You can have a 60 to 90 day aged cohort. And you just want to put all types of different ads and creatives in front of that. Like not everything needs to lead to a gated landing page, like your pod, for instance, like that could totally be an ad or multiple ads within some of these like older or like more aged audiences, because it's like at that point, they're just getting to know you kind of.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't talk about this, but you're a pod host too. It's always cool to have fellow pods. When did you start podcasting?
Over 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So you mentioned COVID. It's before the lockdown. I ran into my co-host, colleague, partner, Sandy Brager. Back in the day, you'd go to the office and you actually run into each other in the kitchen. And she came over to me and said, I think Aspiriant should have a podcast or try podcasting. And I had just come from a conference where I'd come out thinking, this is a medium I really want to try. So it was funny. I was like, oh my gosh. Well, I'll give you the short version. Sandy and I, lockdown happens. We sort of just said, let's try it. Let's do a podcast and just test it. 9 episodes. And we kind of stopped. It's been amazing. They're weekly. We drop weekly. I don't know. What's your frequency?
Weekly.
Weekly. Okay. Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's not a big expense. It's a big time expense. You know that. And it's really powerful to me as a marketer. I love that the podcast for us, Money Tales, it demonstrates our value proposition in a way that you can put it on your website, you can tell people, but I love demonstrating, and I'll just share for listeners and viewers that Money Tales is about really bringing to life and stopping the taboo of money conversations being taboo. We really want people to feel comfortable, because with comfort in talking about money, because we do this with our clients every day. We talk money and they say, oh my God, we're so glad we have you to talk about money with. We know it increases financial literacy, confidence, everything. So mistakes, it makes it normalizes. We're just really through one guest at a time demonstrating productive money conversations. And as a marketer, again, it's our value prop. This is what we do for you as a client. So we love that demonstrates it on the pod.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm doing a little bit of spying like within the LinkedIn ads library. And I'm really impressed at the level of content and like the level of specificity in terms of targeting. So there's some platforms where the best practice is to target broad, like on Meta, for instance. We tend to target quite broad and we use the creative to do the targeting. So for instance, I'm looking at this webinar, 5 expensive mistakes to avoid before and after an IPO. That's like the best example of using the creative to target, because people that are not like in your target audience, they don't even know what an IPO is, right? They're like, what, like they're just totally ignoring that ad. But people that is, I mean, it's not a very large audience of folks that are, you know, trying to troubleshoot how to best do an IPO. It's like a very niche audience, right? There's maybe like 100 people in the world probably that are like thinking about that. I'm more than that, but
hopefully more than that. But yeah, at one time there's not, you know, like your point is it's finite. There's people who are working at companies that are going to go public or might get acquired, or there's a funding round where there's some form of decision to really think about the human. They've got decisions to make about their equity that will impact them and their family today and in the future. And they don't want to blow it. And people have made mistakes, and that's the beauty. I think I love when people share the mistakes they made going through an IPO or their company got acquired and what they didn't do, so that the next person can hopefully learn from it. And that's the idea.
No, but I love how specific that content is. And I can imagine that like you probably don't get that many leads for it. The cost per lead is probably significant, but I bet you the leads that you do get from it are probably like really good ones, you know?
That's it. You nailed it. That's right.
Like I'm just looking through here, managing ISOs and RSUs and IPO planning. Like 98% of the world is going to be like, what in the world is that?
What is, and that is, that is a little bit of industry speak for the people, to your point, who are in that situation. And that's okay. In that case, it's okay for the acronyms. And well, first for advertising, you can't spell it all out. You'd run out of space. But the people who are in those situations understand what an RSU is, then, what are their questions along those lines, and might, show interest.
Very cool. So time is flying. That is a sign that it's a good episode. I'm curious. I've got just a couple more questions for you, but challenges, like what are the big challenges you're facing? What's keeping you up at night these days?
It's probably been the same challenge, but it just always feels like more. It's always like markets. It always feels different. Distractions, right? So your future clients have so many ways in which they can solve their need, and also find the wealth management firm to serve them when they're ready. So the noise just gets noisier and noisier, and dealing with that and addressing that and being on certain platforms that you weren't on 10 years ago, or might not even have existed 5 years ago. Being thoughtful, limited budget, right? So we aren't, we have to be really thoughtful with our dollars and our spend. So which of those platforms are really talking to our future client, our ideal client profile? So being really mindful. So it's those distractions and, smallish budget. How do we get the most from that budget? How do we get the ROI we're looking for? And that's like I said earlier about the recipe. The minute we figure it out, it seems like it changes, or the Google algorithm changes, or something else changes, how Apple reports, whatever. So you're constantly, and that's the fun of it, the role we play as marketers, and it's the challenge.
I'm wondering, like in the vein of challenges, what is attribution like on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is like, it's this impossible, like moving target, and 1 is like, oh, it's easy, we've got to figure it out. Like where would you say you are on that? Or how do you view it? How do you approach it?
It's so hard.
It's so hard.
We're really good when we have direct, prospective client comes in, they go on our CTA on the website, and they fill out, and we actually do ask, how did you hear about us? And some will tell us, web search or whatever. So 100% attribution there. A lot of them, so in the wealth management industry, a lot of your future clients are going to be referred in from an existing client because it's such a high trust business. Right? So, but that doesn't mean that, oh, it only was the referral, because we know through their digital footprint that they are going on the website, they're doing research. Quite often, they actually don't get an email introduction to us. They go through their digital journey, they do research, and they contact us through the website or, through our call to action form, which tells us, right, what's happening in the background. Yes, it was a referral, but really, who plays, the attribution? What is it? And so it's hard, and we're still figuring it out.
Yeah, like if the website didn't work, or if the website was horrible, or if it, didn't.
That's right. Or inconsistent with the brand, or doesn't, the referral said this is great because their expertise in XYZ, and they can't, the future client can't see that expertise, right? They might not contact us. So just examples along the way.
Yeah. No, that just gave me an idea. Well, when you said it was like pretty heavily referral based, there might be a play where, and maybe you're doing this already, but there might be a play where the names of the individual partners and wealth managers are like pretty valuable real estate from like a search perspective that you really want to own, like, because brand search traffic, like when folks are searching for Aspiriant, is probably the most valuable traffic. It probably converts at the highest rate. But I've seen with law firms that we've worked with, there have been times where a lot of times the individual partners or the lawyers' names are being searched, by prospective clients that maybe worked with them in the past and want to find them again, type of a thing.
Right.
So we sometimes talk about, the brand like the search engine results page and how you want to own that. And sometimes competitors will come and bid on the brand, and there's like a big, thing that happens. But in your world, it might be like each of the partners' brand search results is an opportunity in and of itself.
That's interesting. Absolutely. Again, we have to figure out, where do we spend our dollars? How can we do that? Maybe, well, you raise a really good point. We'll look into that.
No, I'm getting started here. My engines are turning, my wheels are spinning.
I love it, Chris.
Okay. So last thing. So you've talked about limited budgets. You've talked about always be testing and wanting to do different stuff. We haven't yet talked about AI at all, but I'm curious, what are some things that you're looking at, or testing actively now, or investing in? Like what's up next on the agenda?
We've looked into some of the AI enhanced lead gen offerings in our space, and we're always doing that. We use AI for content, in the support of content creation, of course. Our next area that my team was talking about is using AI as we delve deeper into segmentation, and really going back to a core part of our strategy is really talking to the individual and what's going on in their life. So using AI within our data to help us along those lines. And yeah, those are some of the key areas we've talked about for AI. And I think about, AI from we get prospective clients who tell us they found us through ChatGPT or, other like platforms. And that's really interesting, right? So that just tells us we're doing something right from an SEO and content standpoint. And we need to keep doing that and being mindful about any learnings we can to help people, because they're going to use, whatever AI machine learning tool that they are facile with to help query. And if they're looking for a wealth management firm or answers to their questions, we want our information in there.
I'll give you a quick tip. It's like, the 2% answer for that, which we've discovered through extensive research, and the audience would probably link those too. So AI is essentially a prediction engine. So it will, based on the context of your prompt and based on, all of the words that led up to that, it basically is predicting what's the most likely word to come next, right? So for instance, like if the sentence is, my dog is hungry, I need to go to, like, it will guess probably the store or to feed them or something like that, right? So from an SEO perspective, it used to be that you would want links pointing back to you that had your keyword in them. Like you would want the anchor text of the link to be like wealth management firm, and then the word Aspiriant to, like the word Aspiriant wouldn't really be that important from a traditional SEO context. But now what you want is basically for the name of your company to appear around that term as the link itself, and ideally after that term. So it's like the ideal way to put it would be like, one of the leading wealth management firms, comma, Aspiriant, right? Because then as the AI is crawling those pages and it sees wealth management associated with Aspiriant a lot, like that's basically the way that.
Oh, Chris, that's fascinating. Thank you.
Very small tweak to like what SEOs call, link building or backlink acquisition.
Help them find who you are and what you do and how you specialize. I think that's really interesting. Thank you.
My pleasure. Oh yeah, but you said something else that sparked my interest. And then I know we have to wrap after this. So I'll let you go. But you'd mentioned AI enabled lead gen. What were you talking about there?
Oh, it's really, I would say, kind of overlay. So there are firms representing that they can help through AI to either generate, not necessarily leads, but like give you a list of people who might be interested in your services, kind of thing, or AI overlays as you're trying to understand people's situations. So they're basically, right, pulling in all the data that's publicly available to help you figure out, is a future client someone that's fits within our minimums, things like that.
Interesting. Was that helpful for you, or did it show signs of promise?
We're really just starting in this area. I know there was one platform, a lot of people would say, oh, if you could upload your existing clients, we'll give you a lookalike audience. We would never do that. Our clients' PII is priceless for them and for us. So we would never do that. So we're just looking right now. And we've done a few things. Of course, we're testing a few things that fit within, our brand and how we want to approach this.
Interesting. I could see that. Yeah. So there's probably aggregator sites. Like if you think about, what's the name of that one firm? I think it's Smart Asset or something. Like find a financial advisor. So they probably have troves of anonymized data that they can sell and license like anonymously, and their terms of service, I'm sure, are much different than yours. Like if you read through it, it probably says like, hey, we're going to sell your data.
Right.
And then they can probably create modeled audiences based on segments of those things.
I think you're right.
That's interesting. Cool. Well, this has been really a lot of fun for me, Cammie. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. I've learned a lot. I'm inspired.
I learned a lot. You're amazing. This is great.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. For folks listening, I hope that you guys enjoyed this and learned something as well. If you did, I would love it if you drop us a review or a like or a comment wherever you get your pods. Pay it forward. Share this with a friend that you think would enjoy it. But thank you so much, Cammie, for your time here today. This was awesome. For folks that want to learn more, where can they find you, or how can they learn more about Aspiriant?
For me personally, best is LinkedIn, Cammie Doder. And then Aspiriant, the website, the spelling, maybe I'll put a link. But yeah, okay. The website's a great place to start a conversation. Reach out to me. Say you heard me on this podcast. I'd love to meet you.
Love that. Cool. Well, hey, Cammie, stay on the line just one moment. We will wrap. But for everybody listening, that was another exciting episode of Revenue-Driven CMO, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Revenue-Driven CMO. We really appreciate you being here. For more details, show notes, past episodes, head over to revenue-drivencmo.com. This show is brought to you by Level Agency, combining AI-enabled performance marketing expertise with the right mix of data and creativity to fuel growth. Catch you next week.